time for American Brain and Brawn, starring John Brinkus and Lacey Evans.
Lordy, 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 lordy.
Happy Wednesday. John, are you in your car?
I am not. I'm in my office. I'm in my office right now.
Hey, I feel you, man. I can't tell you how many times hard workers like us have to freaking make it work and make do. What are you in Atlanta?
I am in Atlanta. I am driving back home, which is about 45 minutes outside of Atlanta.
Good weather, it looks like.
Yeah, it's 71 degrees right now. It's beautiful. Might go home and play a little golf. How about that?
Oh, okay. Feeling good today. Well, I feel amazing. I am here in my Limitless Lady Lounge, and we have an incredible guest. So I know I'm already jumping to it, John, because I'm so excited. We have been discussing this motivator for a while now, and today we finally get to have him on our show. So we are a little early. So all the fans out there who are about to come on, and I said that we're going to go live at 4:30. That's okay, because Jason, that's his name, he will still be on air by 4:30 because he has an incredible story and he is an incredible person. So it is a good thing that you are driving, John, because today's show is not really about me. It's not really about you, our travels, our struggles, everything that we have to juggle. It's about a badass man who is named Jason. He's going to come on. I'm going to introduce him. But before I do, I want to point out a couple things. You know, we're going through a pandemic. We're going through job losses and economy and everything in between. A lot of negativity. But, you know, stories like this help bring things into perspective, right? So we can complain about the weather. We can complain. I said this on my Instagram today. We can complain about the weather. We can complain about little things in our lives that just aren't working out. And it's easy to do that. You know, when things aren't going perfect, it's so easy to be like, you know, I'm just upset. I just don't feel good. I'm stressed. I got a lot to do. The sun ain't shining. It's raining, blah, blah, blah. The list goes on and on. But what we really need to do in situations like that is take a step back, because there are so many people out there who are either going through hell or have been through hell and is scratching and clawing just to breathe, just to survive. So I'm not saying that your problems are any less than others, but this story today will definitely help put our little struggles and our little problems that we let just get us down so much into perspective, because we need to realize that like life can really knock us down. Life can almost end for us the way that it almost ended for this motivator. And we can complain and keep on arguing, or we could do what Jason did and take every hit that this man has had to take and continues to take and go forward and I'm about to tell you all other stuff. I'm going to shut up now because I want him to come on. I want you guys to see and hear his story. So next time you guys are out there and you're feeling like those rain clouds are bothering you and slowing you down, you feel like your stress is heavy, you feel like just the day feels like crap and you're going to just let it bring you down, realize that your situation could be so much worse. And remember stories like this and get the hell back up and keep pushing and make it freaking work, because it could be worse, but there's nothing that you cannot get through, including the rainy days and what this man has been through. So without further ado, all you nasty things, I'm sure we're going to have more people coming on around 4:30 and in between, but I want to introduce Jason right now. Jason, hello. Welcome to American Brain and Brawn.
Hey, how are you? I am so excited and honored ever since you contacted me. I just have been looking forward to this day. I can't thank you enough for who you are and what you do and for having me. I'm humbled and I'm grateful. You're awesome.
Thank you so much, Jason. And you realize I have not said your last name. Me and Courtney and John were talking before this, and I'm going to probably murder it. Schechterle?
Yeah, well, I sent it to Courtney phonetically.
Yeah.
So she's got it. I know she does. Yeah, it's Schechterle, but Jason is...
Yeah,
The
But
way to go.
they should know your first and last name, but I didn't want to kill it too bad. But Courtney tried to prepare me, but man, there's a reason why I was early. I'm not very, why there's a reason why they say we eat crowns, man, and why we choose the Marine Corps, and you know
That's
what
right.
I'm saying? So, but I tried, and it is Jason Schechterle, all you nasty things. Okay.
Perfect.
All right, so let's just get straight to it. All right, because I've already posted about this story. I've already, kind of hinted on the incredible person you are. Everybody who's out there, we are going to tag all of his social media, his Instagram. I believe it was just up. His first and last name. Find this man, because his story doesn't end here. His story continues. What this man does continues every single day of his life. But let's just get straight to the meat and potatoes. What happened?
So, if we're going to get straight to it, the basics is I'm born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona, and growing up, I kind of had it in the back of my mind that I wanted to be a police officer. I wanted to work in the city that I grew up in, that I love so much. And as every one of your listeners, as you and John both know, life changes on you very quickly. I had a college golf scholarship, and I decided to drastically change directions. I wasn't even 6 months into my freshman year, and I decided I wanted to serve in the military, and definitely not as tough as you. Couldn't do the Marines, joined the Air Force. Don't regret a freaking second of it. Loved every minute of it. Did my, I spent a year in Korea, spent 6 months in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba for the 1994 Haitian refugee crisis. It did me wonders as far as structure and discipline. And came home, and 4 years, I was 22 years old, just not mature enough or ready to become a police officer. I got married, had a couple of kids. And again, life, it's constantly evolving. It's constantly changing. I don't care what your plans or goals or dreams are. It's going to change nonstop in an instant. And I ended up with a really great job. I was making a lot of money, and life was going pretty well. On March 26th of 1999, now I'm 26 years old, and I came home from work. I was an apprentice to be a lineman, the guys that work on the overhead and underground power lines. Outstanding job. Again, I'm making a lot of money. Life was set. Just had no stress. Came home on March 26th of 99, and the 5 o'clock news was the lead story. A Phoenix police officer named Mark Atkinson had been shot and killed in the line of duty. And it was my first true aha moment. It was my first time in my life that just everything opened up like, Jason, that's what you are supposed to be doing. Wearing that uniform, doing that job. I went the very next day, filled out an application. Was very blessed and very lucky. It's a difficult process, as it should be, to get this job. And started the academy in September of 99. Was the first graduating class of 2000. Hit the streets with just all the enthusiasm and joy that I can't even tell you. When you know, all the romantic things that you see on TV, all the fantasies or whatever you might dream about law enforcement, if you have a love for it, when you're actually doing it, it's times it by 100. When you do it with the right honor and integrity behind the badge, it's the most incredible job in the world. And couldn't wait to go to work every day. Did my year of probation, then I switched squads, better hours, better days off. I work with my best friend. We're partners every day. Then comes March 26th of 2001. Ironically, 2 years to the day.
Wow.
After Mark Atkinson was killed. On his anniversary. I mean, it's unbelievable. And my partner and I were separated that day because we were short-staffed. And I remember leaving briefing, leaving the precinct. I was starting at 3 in the afternoon. I was supposed to work until 1 o'clock in the morning. And I left briefing, and I ignored policy, procedure. I didn't care. I left my precinct. I drove over to where Mark Atkinson had been shot and killed. Again, it's his anniversary, and I'm sitting there in the middle of just life is great. The least I could do was drive over there to his memorial marker, made the sign of the cross, thanked him for his sacrifice, thanked him for the opportunity that he'd given me. Little did I know that in about 8 hours, I was going to need the same memorial marker that he had. I went through, you know, you always hear people say a quiet routine day, which is the stupidest terms that cops can use, but we use them all the time. And there's wasn't a whole lot going on. I still remember everything I did. About 11:30 that night, I wasn't doing anything. No, just it was slow, and a emergency call came over the radio, and it wasn't in my area. So, I mean, in one ear and out the other, I didn't pay any attention to it. But the officers in that area were busy at the time, so dispatcher came on. There's an emergency call, unknown trouble, dead body. Seemed like a serious crime had been committed. So, not doing anything, I grabbed the radio and I said, I'll head over there. Lights and siren, I'm going to get there as quick as I can. And I approached an intersection. If you're not familiar with the valley where I live, it's 20th Street and Thomas, which is just about 5 minutes east of downtown Phoenix. It's kind of right in the heart of the city. Freeway overpass, very busy part of the valley. And I had a red light. So even though I've got lights and siren, I'm running what we call code 3, I still have a responsibility to come to a complete stop to make sure that people getting on and off the freeway will see and yield to my emergency vehicle. Right. And it only takes a second and a half. I mean, life is all about timing and choices. It only takes a second and a half to clear an intersection. Just as I was going to proceed through the intersection, my patrol car was struck from behind by a taxi cab. The driver was suffering an epileptic seizure, and he was doing 115 miles an hour when he ran into me, which is, you know, I can't even really fathom that speed. This is a 40-mile-an-hour downtown city street. I was looking left and right, clearing the intersection. I didn't see him, never felt the impact, nothing like that. So I had to, in time, put together the pieces, listen to the police and fire dispatch tapes, personally interview everybody that was on scene. And I just had, I can't even tell you how many miracles stacked upon each other. I was hit. My car burst into flames. I'm unconscious. I travel 270 feet through the intersection, and I come to stop right in front of a fire truck. Wow. I mean, the exact intersection at the exact moment that I needed the most, there's a fire truck there. Are you kidding me? And I often think about, you know, it's easy to tell the story and just state the facts. But as first responders, police, fire, whatever, you always have a little bit of notice. You have a little bit of details of what you're about to head into. You know, man with a gun, trespasser, shoplifter, yes, car accident, whatever. You have a little bit of notice. And I always think about these firefighters who I still keep in touch with, a couple of very close friends of mine. But they were just sitting at a traffic light minding their own business. And then the world literally exploded right in front of them. And then to see that it's a police car. And police and firefighters have a, you know, it's fun to joust and joke and jab each other because of our jobs. But when it comes down to it, it gets pretty serious. And I always think about the emotion they must have felt when they saw this. And then I don't care who you are, what job you're doing, what uniform you're wearing, fight or flight syndrome is very real within all of us. Mm-hmm. And they were faced with just an unimaginable set of circumstances. They drove their truck not even 50 feet and went to work for me. So I'm going to stop you. So everybody that's on, I mean, okay. How old were you at this point, Jason? I was 28 years old when I had my accident. Okay. So here is this 28-year-old veteran.
He's already served in the Air Force. He's a father. He's a husband. He is now a police officer. He's 2 years in, for everybody just coming on. He's 2 years into his career as a police officer, which, by the way, those of you who missed the beginning of this, the only reason why this man joined the police force was, for one, as a child, he kind of dreamt about it. He ended up going to the Air Force, but he saw an officer on TV that lost his life from being shot while on duty. Okay. And right then Jason described it like it was an eye-opening moment. So at 26 years old, he enlists in to become a police officer. 2 years into his career, he is going through a red light. He stops because he's going on a call to stop a threat or whatever the situation is. He's going to be selfless, like he has proven himself to be his entire life at this point. And he gets hit from behind of a taxi cab driver who is having an epileptic seizure at 100 and what? How fast was he going?
115.
115 miles an hour. Immediately, he is unconscious, in flames. And by the grace of God, this 28-year-old man comes to a stop in front of a fire freaking truck, right? So that's where we're at right now. So for all of those out there, like I said at the beginning of this video, when we went live, the ones out there complaining that it's a cloudy freaking day and you're sitting there counting your struggles and your stresses, take a deep breath and realize, like, you are good. You are healthy. You can get through this. You can get through the clouds. You can get through the bills. You can get through the stress. But listen to this man's story. Sorry, I had to stop him, but I have chills right now. And I literally, without even crying, I was so upset this morning about my own life, about being a mom and being on the road and being so stressed with my job. And I've never been through this. So people out there listening, tune in, because this is incredible. All right, Jason, I'm sorry, go. So you're stopped in front of a fire truck. You're completely engulfed in flames. What happens?
You know what? I'm going to continue, Lacey, but I got to tell you, you make my whole point of what I want to get across to people. There is nothing more strong and beautiful than vulnerability. And the fact that you're shedding tears right now and talking about being a mom and your career, that this is the whole point that people miss out on about being alive. And thank you for interrupting and stopping. And I want you to do that because I get carried away on just the facts and I forget to hit the little parts. So yeah, the firefighters, 2 police officers that were very close to the scene, they got there. And the work that these people did, I mean, it's just unbelievable. From the time I was hit till the time I was out of the car was 90 seconds.
Wow.
Just unbelievable. Nobody survives this kind of inferno. Nobody. And even in 90 seconds, I mean, as you can tell, and listen, I've had 56 surgeries in almost 20 years to get to where I'm at today. This doesn't even compare to what the initial injury was. And another miracle, I keep talking about those, I was 2.5 miles away from what I would argue is the best burn center in the United States. And I know John's just outside of Atlanta. They are considered the best burn center, but I'm going to raise a fight and say, no, we got the best. So I'm on their trauma table in less than 8 minutes. From impact to emergency room, 8 minutes. Just, I mean, luck, miracles, twists of fate, timing, everything going in my favor. And that's when the process really started. You know, the fire guys did their job. The ambulance guys got me there. Then the doctors were faced with a hell of a scenario. I mean, there is no chance. They told my family, there is no chance Jason will survive.
How old were your babies at this point?
Oh man. Well, I tell you, you want to get me going. There's nothing like fatherhood. I had at the time, my daughter Kylie was 7, and I had a son who was 2 years old in March of 2001, and yeah, and then it was just obviously in the blink of an eye, life could change, and And it's going to. That's what we don't ever realize. You know, you don't realize it when you're 20. You don't realize it when you're 30 and you think you do. Then you turn 40, you still don't realize. You never really just accept the fact, look, life is going to continue to change and evolve. And in an instant, it can get really bad or different. And I don't like to use, I'm kind of a pain in the ass when it comes to adjectives. I don't like to even use the term like struggles and difficulties. And you know what? Because that's a choice. I'm not a victim. I'm not, I didn't have bad luck. I'm not going to blame the guy who hit me. I just have none of that going on. And that was, I had to evolve though, right? I mean, it wasn't like day one. So I'm in the hospital. They're telling my family, you know, Jason's going to die. And there's not much we can do about it. Burns like this, fourth degree. I never even heard of that before. I thought third degree was the worst. And I've got fourth degree burns to my neck, head, and face. My hands destroyed, my arms. And, you know, my chest, my stomach, my back had been protected by my bulletproof vest. And
Wow.
burn injuries can be really, it's a unique injury. It's devastating. But when your chest is burned, you really don't have a chance. And I was protected by, I only put this thing on every night in case I got shot. I didn't ever think about catching on fire. And so everything I'm talking about right now, I missed. I wasn't there. I was asleep. I was out. So my accident was on March 26th. And I woke up on June 12th.
Wow.
2.5 months. And it, for me, you know, I didn't have a serious head injury. I had a mild concussion, a couple broken ribs outside of the fire. And the coma was medically induced. So with all the drugs and everything, it was, for me, it was like the blink of an eye. And I wake up and I'm being told, you know, little things. You know, I knew, I was like, why am I in the hospital? I was just at work. Why can't I open my eyes? I mean, there's just 1,000 thoughts that were pouring into my mind. And my wife was the one who was in the room with me. And she told me right away, you know, that I've been in a car accident. My car caught on fire. And I did, you know, at that moment, it was the only thing in life from the time I was a child that I was scared of. The only thing that I've ever been terrified of is fire. I never in my life have I owned or cooked on gas barbecue grills. I don't buy real Christmas trees that dry out. I mean, I was terrified of fire. One thing that I prayed would never happen. And here without warning, I'm being told it did. Didn't know the extent of it, obviously, because I wasn't feeling any pain with the drugs. I couldn't see myself because I was blind. But I was still so devastated by what I was being told that I went on the journey that, you know, looking back, it's not only is it normal for us to go through, but it's absolutely required. You cannot be told something tragic, something life-changing, and just say, okay. There's not a single one of us. As a human being, you have no designs within you for that capability. So the journey that I went on, I think was normal. I mean, I'm crying every single day. I've lost my job that I love so much. What are my children going to think of me? There were days that people even dared walk into my room. They got yelled at, cussed at. There was no one to talk. And I would be silent. And it went that way for about 3 weeks. And then I had what I call my next aha moment, an epiphany that started to propel me forward. So if you want me to take a break, I can. And if you want to ask questions.
Jason, I just want you to know I'm looking at all of our fans out there, and they are just saying how incredible you are and how strong you are.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ron Jenkins is telling me, Lacey, please don't cry. I'm trying, honey. Ronnie Hack, he sends all the love from Kentucky. I mean, we have fans out here listening to this.
Yeah, baby, the bluegrass state. I love Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Him says, God bless the blue. Like, you're making an impact, and I'm sure you already know this, but like, there's going to be people, even from this one segment alone, who is going to be out there. And when they feel themselves in clouds coming in, they're going to think of you and they're going to think of your story and be like, nope, I'm going to ignore the clouds and I'm going to keep on going. And I'm going to make this day the best day that I can, because I know things could be worse. My life can change, like you said, in a second and a half. And we just need to be thankful that we have our babies that don't have to look at us, or we don't have to worry about what are they going to think of me. And like, here this man is going through all of this. And you said 3 weeks it took you to have another aha moment of what your next step is. Like, you know, there are people out there that are going through other, you know, and I'm, like I said, I hate to compare stories to others. I don't want people out there to think that everybody handles things different.
Yes.
But what I'm pointing out is our minds are so strong, and we can figure out ways to take on these struggles, no matter how big, like Jason, or how small, like mine earlier today, crying about if I'm being a good enough mom for my baby. And we could figure out how to make the best out of our situations. And he is a prime example that we could all kind of use as a kind of like a guide. You know what I mean? Like, man, just when you think that life is bad, just know that it could be worse, but also know that it doesn't give a damn what you're going through, that we could freaking make it just like Jason did. I want to get back to the story because, I mean, 3 weeks, that's all it took for you to be like cussing and, you know, your kids, and then you don't know what's going on, and you don't, and then what was the moment where you're like, okay, well, this is what I got to do. This is what.
Well, and again, every time we take a break, Lacey, I got to tell you, I travel this country as a public speaker, and you make my points for me, and I love it, because like I sit here and I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what it's like to be a woman and a mom, and I definitely don't know what it's like to be a superstar and a WWE person, but you're still just a human being, and you're still. Every day when you wake up, you're just Lacey, and you're a mom, and you try to make the best of each day. Who cares about next year or 10 years ago? It's today. So to answer your question, what it was for me, and I can't explain why this occurred to me, but I'm forever grateful, and I thank God for this. I had 2 things come to me. It was the middle of the night. I'm blind. You're slow with your thoughts all the time. No visitors during those late night hours. And the first thing that I thought about was the guy who hit me. And he was having an epileptic seizure, and he had caused a bunch of other accidents, and he wasn't taking his medication. He got arrested and charged with aggravated assault. He was in jail, all these things. But I know that he wasn't out to hurt a police officer, and he certainly wasn't out to hurt Jason. So I didn't have to deal. Again, I say this very humbly and with gratitude, because I know a lot of our military people and other first responders have to deal with PTSD, but I didn't have that because I didn't have the anger toward him. But what was most important for me was laying in the hospital bed, I realized there is no such thing as a magic, tragic, instantaneous moment. That is not anything in life. There's always a long series of events. There's a lot of decisions, and we make our choices every day, right? A lot of times it's hundreds of choices. You don't even know how many times that your life has been saved simply because you got in the car and said, oh, you know what, I better run back and go to the restroom before I go on this long drive. Or, damn it, I forgot my wallet. You don't even know what you missed out on that could have happened. And I realized I was not in that hospital bed because a guy hit me and that I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, or I was unlucky. I was in that hospital because, go all the way back to high school, I chose to give up a college scholarship. I chose to join the military and only spend 4 years in the military. I chose to be a police officer, and I chose to answer up for a call that I had no business answering up for. That's what got me to that hospital bed. 8, 10 years worth of choices and decisions, and I am not free from the consequences of those choices. So why am I going to walk around saying, why me? I was minding my own business. I was serving my community. That's easy to do, but it's not going to do me any good. It's not going to do my support system any good. I am alive. I don't know what I look like. I know it's freaking horrible. I know that my life has changed. I know that I've lost my job, but you know what? At the end of the day, I am alive. I am a father. And by God, I'm going to act like it. And so that was when I decided, you know what? I don't know what I can accomplish, but let's get back in the fight. Let's go. And so the next day, this is the end of June. And I woke up on June 12th. This is June 30th. I still remember it. I mean, it's almost 20 years. I remember like it's yesterday. I asked the doctors, when can I go home? And they said, if everything goes right, you're going to be here till Christmas. We need about 6 more months. And so I said, okay, you know, whatever you guys need, I'll do whatever. Surgery, therapy, I'm all in. And I walked out of the hospital on July 31st.
Okay.
I love it. I love it. Hey, I haven't even gotten to the worst parts yet. You're crying right now. I haven't even gotten to the worst part.
Oh, I'm just thinking of like as your children and your wife and like how strong you are. I just couldn't imagine. And then the guilt of people like myself who I'm stupid for letting such little problems take away blessings. Like,
no, Lacey, no, you can't. Listen, you can't say that. And you know why? Listen to me. We are not each other. I have no idea what it's like to be in your shoes, and you don't have any idea what it's like to be in my shoes. And it's great. Listen, respect and compassion is beautiful. Perspective is beautiful. But you know that thing where people talk about comparison is the thief of joy? So somebody's got more money or a nicer house or nicer car, whatever. When you talk about adversity, it can be 10 times worse. If you compare your adversity to somebody else's, it is truly like grabbing yourself by the back of the collar and holding yourself in place. It is great to have compassion and to be considerate and respectful of other people. It's great to have perspective, but do not ever insult what you're going through because you see somebody who caught on fire. You know what? You don't get to be me. You don't get to live this life. Don't insult your adversity because you have to face it. You have to get through it. And you know this as well as I do. Whatever you're going through today, whatever you were going through this morning, let me tell you, adversity, unbeknownst to you, is forming a lot more and stronger ways, and it's coming after you again. It's not going to stop. Life was designed to kick your ass. That's what it's made for. You're right? That's kind of what it's built for.
For sure.
So,
I think that, like, man, the more that I listen to this, and I want to say, like, you know, my problems were so small compared to yours, but for that moment when you were telling me about you couldn't see, but in your with your children, your wife, and your life, and what you're about to have to do, it's like for that moment when I got emotional, I didn't think about my hard times. You know, I thought more of my good times and how I just took advantage of that. I'm not even thinking about my struggles right now, man. I'm thinking about the blessings that I could see those clouds that we talked about at the beginning of this video. I could at least see them. And to think that you take so advantage of you know, people like us, everybody out there, you know, that are listening, that, man, it's wild to think of all the things we really do take advantage of and our blessings. And we need to check ourselves, man, because I'm just having one of those check myself moments that I can at least see my baby and I can see those clouds. And it's, anyway, continue, please.
Well, like I told you, I haven't even gotten to the roughest parts because, believe it or not, don't forget everything I said. I don't remember the accident. I wasn't in fear. I wasn't in pain. I obviously woke up to an unimaginable nightmare that I couldn't comprehend, but I was being taken care of by some incredible people, by professionals. I get home from the hospital after 5 months. I've got a 7-year-old daughter. I've got a son who turned 3 while I was in a coma. And then I come home, my appearance is not only completely changed, let's just be honest, it was grotesque. And I've lost over 60 pounds. I'm 6'3", I weighed 200 pounds. I was in the best shape of my life. Now all of a sudden, I'm 120 pounds and just my body's just destroyed because that's what fire does. And I got home in August, okay? All the way in November, CNN was doing a documentary on my story and my family. And my 3-year-old son, Zane, on this documentary was holding an old picture of me in my uniform, pointing at that, and then pointing at me, and he said, "You're not my dad." Everybody has their own version of rock bottom, but I'm telling you as a father, when your son cannot acknowledge that you're their father, it was my rock bottom. And the guilt that I was overcome with, like, I know why I put my name on that application. It has carried me through a lot of dark days. I'm very proud of why I did it and what I did. But my children did not ask for this. They didn't ask for me to change their lives and get these injuries. And that was when the emotional and mental adversity really took over. And so now I had to find a whole new way to overcome things and hit those reset buttons. And it was it was just a constant learning process. I took it one day at a time. Every time I went to therapy and came home, I got a little bit stronger. Every time I had surgery, something got a little bit better. And then I had some positive things happen. Again, so humbling, but because of my job, especially at the time, you got to figure back in 2001, everybody loved police officers. It's not like that today. Everybody hates police officers. But back then, it was a great time to be a cop. And, I got to do things. I carried the Olympic torch. I met the president. I threw out the first pitch at a Major League Baseball game. I got all these positive momentums, and I'm getting stronger. I'm getting better. And I had 2 goals. Only 2. Nothing else mattered. I didn't care about my appearance. I didn't care about anything. I cared about my family, and I cared about my career. And that's what my sights were set on. We had our 3rd child. My son, Mason, my youngest, my baby, was born October 29th of 2002, 18 months after the accident. And you want to talk about perspective. I get this baby home, and all of a sudden, for 18 months, I'm having some pretty bad days. I'm in terrible pain. I'm going through a lot of surgeries. I don't know what's going on, from my eyesight to whatever. And all of a sudden, I've got this little baby that weighs 9 pounds sitting on the couch. I've got a great picture of the 2 of us when he was home after 2 days. And all I could realize was, you know what? This was not about getting me out of a car. This was not about getting me through 1 or 2 surgeries. Now we are talking about an entire life that's been created. And what if Mason grows up to have 3 or 4 children? What if they grow up to have 3 or 4 children? This is something that could go on and on with no logical end. And it could have been brought to an end that night had I died, had I not had those firefighters doing their job and fighting for me, had I not been vulnerable and let other people fight for me, had I not had those doctors and the will to survive. It could have been over. And now all these years later, I look at him, he's 18 now. He's getting ready to graduate high school. He's going to college to play baseball in North Carolina. Do you think after all these years, I give a frick about, I don't know if I can cuss on your show. I do not care about what I look like or anything. I look at him and I'm just like, dude, you are the true phoenix that rose from the ashes. And it's unbelievable. And 2 weeks after he was born, 2 weeks, I got into a truck by myself and I drove back to work. I had everybody, the doctors, my friends, everybody said, Jason, you are not going back to work. Don't you ever tell me what I'm not going to do. Don't ever tell me what I can or can't do, because that simply boils down to a choice also. If I want to, all I have to do is work for it and I can get there. I did go back to work, worked my way up. I ended up being a homicide detective, which was a dream of mine. And to work for victims who can't speak for themselves, to work for families that are affected by that kind of violence is an amazing honor. It's so much bigger than what I was going through. Was tremendous in my recovery process, and I did it. And 5.5 years after the accident in August of 2006, due to my limitations with my eyesight and my hands, I did decide to retire.
Wow. What the? So, all right. So now, and okay. So now here you are after all of this, and you know, I want to say that you were selfless when you joined the Air Force. I want to say you were selfless when you got in the police force to give back. But you're still not done. You're still not done being selfless. So tell, like, what do you do now? For everybody out there listening, this story is it has not ended, and it's not going to end anytime soon. I mean, this show may be about to be at an end, but like, Jason, what else are you doing, continuing to do in your selfless journey of incredible badassery that I can't even begin to describe? And everybody out there who's just coming on or missed the beginning, go back and watch this episode of American Brain and Brawn, because it is incredible. So tell us, so now to a motivational speaker, like where are your limits? You don't have any from what I've seen.
Lacey, you're so amazing. It makes me laugh because you're so much more of a badass than me, and you make these terms. No, it's not over, and that's what I love about life. I am now 48 years old. I still, first and foremost, want to be a father, and I'm so excited to be able to tell you, I started young, which I'm glad. My daughter, who was 7 at the time, is now 27. She's going to be a doctor helping children. And in July of this year, you could start calling me grandpa.
What?
So again, nothing else matters. Nothing. It's perspective. I got to walk her down the aisle. And 3 years ago, until you get to do something like that, you can't even explain. I can't tell a guy what it's like who hasn't ever done it. It's unbelievable. My son, Zane, who didn't recognize me, is just graduated college. He is killing it in life. He's the most beautiful, compassionate soul God ever put on this earth. My youngest son is going out to play college baseball. I'm not done being a father. I'm not done with my speaking. I love traveling. Obviously, COVID has, hampered that over the past year, but that is what I love to do, is share the story and tell people, just don't give up. And I put it right on my arm. Sometimes the most beautiful, inspirational changes will disguise themselves as utter devastation. Be patient.
Be patient.
It's okay to be patient in your grief and patient in your struggle. It is okay. And I know I sound like, oh, you know what, I'm strong and courageous and got over it. That's bullshit. No, I didn't. I still cry. I still have anxiety and fear and anger and you name it. But every day I wake up and I say, you know what? This is simple. Today, I'm going to make today better than I found it. I'm going to put an extra shopping cart away. I'm going to smile at somebody. I'm going to try and better myself. And I will worry about tomorrow when I wake up tomorrow. I've got more reset buttons than anybody in this world.
Jason, so what book? Where is your book at?
Burning Shield. It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. My website is burningshield.com. My email.
burningshield.com.
And my email is right there. I'm the only one who gets those emails. Nobody else gets them.
Okay.
And I want you to know real quick, Lacey, that just 2 hours ago, I do my own podcast every Wednesday. And at the end of my podcast, I've been doing it for 2 years, over 100 episodes. I close out my podcast with an inspirational message. And today I read one of your Instagram posts and talked about you because it inspired me with what you wrote. And I can't thank you enough for giving me this opportunity and for your vulnerability, for your tears, for being real. And I hope that everybody out there will hit the reset button and just say, you know what, I'm going to leave today better than I found it.
Oh, I'm speechless. You guys, everybody out there, like I said, if you missed this episode when we started today on American Brain and Brawn, go back and watch it from the beginning. His book is called Burning Shield. I'm going to go get mine right now. And remember, on your cloudy days, when you feel like your stress is weighing you down, hit that reset button like Jason said, and know that nothing can stop you. It's one day at a time, one breath at a time. And put him back up there. He was showing the book real quick because like this guy is incredible. And
well, Lacey, I'm showing you this because this is yours, and I want you to DM me your address. And I'm gonna sign it for you and send it to you. Do not go buy one. This right here that I'm holding with my hands, my best of hands, this is yours. So you DM me or have Courtney email me your address, and I'm going to sign this for you. And thank you. I think you're awesome.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Jason. Thank you. We'll keep in touch. Oh, you guys, John is probably gone. I don't know if he's still on the air, but Courtney, are we still live? Are we good? Okay, so I'm going to say goodbye today. John, he has been working really hard. He's been on the road a lot. Today's guest, Jason, he has a book out called Burning Shield. And I'm going to say this again. If you guys did not watch this from the beginning, go back and watch it. He said himself, when you find yourself down, when you find yourself second guessing what you're capable of or your next step or your stress or the bills or life or your parenting, your marriage, hit the reset button. Take a deep breath and take it one day at a time. I'm going to sign off with that. Keep it classy. Thank you guys so much for coming to American Brain and Brawn. I'm going to go wipe my face and take these eyelashes off. Today was a rough one, but it made me look at my life and put stuff in perspective for me. And I hope that this does the same for you. So you guys keep it classy. Thank you guys for coming. And John says bye also.